Valen, the South African Local Government Association is an autonomous association of 278 municipalities. Its mandate is derived from our constitution and it's described as the voice and the sole representative of local government. It interfaces with Parliament, the National Council of Provinces, Cabinet, as well as provincial legislature. I'm joined now by the chairperson of SALGA, Mr. Xolile George. A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Ayanda. Good morning, South Africa.
Now, the country is celebrating 21 years of political freedom this year. SALGA is yet to reach or local government, yet to reach its sweet 16. It's 15 years of local government that we're celebrating this year. Speak to us about that discrepancy and in particular, what was wrong with status quo at that time that necessitated the creation of SALGA?
Thank you very much, Ayanda. South Africans will remember that we are a new democracy. This year, we will be celebrating 21 years as South Africa on the 27th of April. Out of that, a new constitution was born for our country, and it created 3 spheres of government. One of those is ourselves as local government. So post-1996 adoption of the constitution, it paved the way for the creation of local government. And as we sit today, we are now 15 years since the democratic establishment of local government. So it's quite an exciting yet a daunting task for us as local government. One of the exciting issues, Ayanda, is that pre-1994, our people did not have democratic representation. They could not partake in the affairs that govern their lives. Today, we have 278 municipalities that are wall-to-wall. There's a public representative, whether it's a ward councillor, PR, citizens have a voice. So indeed, we have a vibrant democratic system of local government. So it is a cause for celebration for us as SALGA as we sit today.
And just speaking of the municipalities, a little bit later on the show, we will have someone who's going to speak to us exclusively on the matter of demarcation. So the viewers at home who want us to hone in on that issue will be able to deal with that topic a little bit later. But let's speak a little bit about your mandate and whether or not you believe that you are fulfilling it.
Ayanda, we are fulfilling our mandate. The Constitution, the drafters of our Constitution were very wise people. They created a fair balance between the 3 spheres of government and defined them very clearly in Section 40 of the Constitution. Interdependent spheres, interrelated, yet distinct. So as a sphere of local government, their SALGA was born in terms of acknowledging that we have a massive transition to undertake. At that time, we had more than 1,300 municipalities. But came 5 December 2000, new legislative measures were put in place to create what we now call wall-to-wall municipalities. So it was a massive transition, and we're quite happy that a voice of local government was then created because there was a clear acknowledgement that with many municipalities, you won't be able to create a coherent voice of representation in Parliament, representation in Cabinet, representation in international platforms, and ensuring a very coherent message emerging from the sector. So as SALGA, one of our role has been to advance the representation of municipalities, and we've done very well, right up to legislatures, right up to Parliament. The second one is to be an employer's body. And the third one is to build capacity of municipalities. The fourth one is to provide advice and support. And we will be celebrating a lot of innovations and successes of municipalities. You will remember, Ayanda, that in our country, similar to all other countries, there was what was said as Millennium Development Goals. Our country has undertaken what we now call very massive redistributive exercise where citizens have access to water, electricity, roads, infrastructure. Yet, as we celebrate those today, over the next 3 days, we acknowledge that the majority of our people still yearn for access to services, to restore their dignity. And as local government, we stand ready to make sure that today we will share innovations in many of our municipalities and then again redouble our effort to deliver on the expectation of a democratic dividend by our people.
Let's speak a little bit now about those issues that you have raised. The Eskom's proposed tariff increase, what bearing will that have on local government as briefly as possible?
It is quite concerning for us as local government. At the same time, we fully acknowledge the massive structural, systemic, and many other forms of challenges that Eskom faces. It is one of the national pride for our country, a key engine and a catalyst for the economic growth. So we equally share those concerns that it needs to be strengthened and there has to be a balance in terms of its own financial sustainability, yet also a balance for citizens to be able to afford services that we as municipality acquire from Eskom, acquire from water and many others. So it's a very strategic balancing act, which as local government we stand ready to provide innovative solutions. So it is a concern because in the background of many challenges that we face structurally in our economy and the global economic meltdown, it does eventually translate into a citizen being unable to pay for water, being unable to pay for electricity, yet municipalities are mandated to continue to provide services, even to communities that are unable to pay in a form of subsidized services, what we call indigent policies. So it's a tricky balancing act, yet we share the needs to sit with that Eskom is quite sustainable.
And we do know that local government is owed extensive amounts of money by private consumers, by government and companies as well when it comes to the services they provide, which can hamper your ability to deliver. Let's speak about Treasury allocating 9% of national revenue to local government. Are you satisfied with this?
Well, we will never be satisfied, Ayanda, for the simple reasons that the fiscal framework for our country allocates resources to national, provincial and local. And at the time of the allocation model, it was envisaged that local government ought to raise its own revenue. But with massive pressures that we face generally, we think that there is scope for further innovation to allocate more resources for local government so that we can be able to gear ourselves up to meet the National Development Plan goals of 2030. Because we are now in 2015 midterm, we have got 15 years, and local government is that center of attraction for citizens. It is that sphere of government that is at the coalface of delivering. So we think that there's scope for the fiscal regime to be tweaked, and we have made telling submission as SALGA in the budget forum, and will continue to do so that local government builds its own capacity. National government can then have confidence to further allocate. And we're seeing massive improvement in what we receive and release every quarter by Treasury, Section 71 reports. Municipalities are clearly demonstrating the capacity and appetite to spend more.
Let's leave it there for now. Thank you so very much. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. Some issues up for discussion. Perhaps you can tweet us your comments and suggestions on this one. Minister Pravin Gordhan calling for municipalities to get rid of unqualified managers. A huge discussion there with some people saying just because you don't have the paper or the certificate doesn't mean it cancels out your years of experience as an effective manager. Also, that SAMU strike, we do understand negotiations underway. Just some issues that we'll be discussing throughout the course of this broadcast. But right now, let's leave it there and take a look at what the weather has.